You know how you get that little notification on your phone for an operating system update, and you just blindly click accept to get it over with?
Oh yeah, constantly. You just want the alert to go away.
Exactly. I mean, you do it because you want the new features, you want the bug fixes, and frankly, you just want to get back to using your device.
Right, it's a trade-off.
Yeah, you are trading your data and a little bit of privacy for convenience, which is normal. But right now, society itself is undergoing this massive, completely unannounced OS update.
That's a really good way to put it.
Thanks. I mean, we are rapidly moving from the industrial age to the intelligent age. And if you don't actually read the terms and conditions of this new societal update, you might accidentally click accept on a comprehensive financial and biological control grid.
Yeah, and we are looking at a monumental shift in how reality is governed here. I mean, knowledge, massive data harvesting, and your actual physical biology, they're becoming the new foundation of everyday life.
Which is wild to think about.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the source material for our deep dive today, which is this incredibly detailed financial and technological breakdown by analyst Andre Jikh, it examines the simultaneous, almost quiet deployment of all these interconnected surveillance and financial technologies.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when you look at this whole grid, objectively, stripping away the utopian marketing from Silicon Valley, and on the flip side, the dystopian panic from the internet, what you're left with is just a profound engineering reality.
Right, it's just infrastructure.
Exactly. The infrastructure is being laid down as we speak. So our mission today is to look at the blueprint of what is actually being built. And we're going to start with the absolute bedrock of any societal system, which is the financial plumbing.
Yeah, because any control system needs a mechanism of exchange to function. And, the source actually mentions ancient texts like the Book of Revelation, the whole mark of the beast concept, where you need a mark to buy and sell.
Right, the classic dystopian warning.
Exactly. But we aren't focusing on the theology today. We're focusing purely on the modern technological reality that is making that ancient concept, technically possible right now. We are witnessing the end of neutral money and the birth of programmable money.
Okay, neutral money. Define that for us really quickly.
Sure. So historically, and even right now for the most part, the dollar in your bank account is neutral. It's just a digital tally. It has no conditional logic attached to it.
It's just numbers on a screen.
Right. You can spend it at a farmer's market. You can buy a car, send it to a relative. Sure, a bank might flag a massive transfer for fraud, but fundamentally, the money itself doesn't care what you do with it.
But programmable money actually cares what you do with it.
Exactly, because it's essentially software. And if your money is software, you can write conditional code, smart contracts directly into the currency itself.
Which is a huge shift.
A massive shift. This takes the form of stablecoins and central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. And the legal framework for this is already entering the books. The source highlights the 2025 Genius Act, which actually created the official regulatory framework for stablecoins in the U.S.
Right, and embedded inside that legislation is a very specific requirement that fundamentally changes the nature of a transaction. All stablecoin issuers are legally required to connect to a Treasury Department pipe.
Yeah, it's not a suggestion.
No, it's mandated. And this isn't just a reporting mechanism. It enforces Know Your Customer rules, or KYC, and anti-money laundering regulations at the root level of the money.
Which, throws the door wide open for behavioral rules. Think about the mechanics of a smart contract governing your wallet. A government could issue, say, a stimulus paycheck that literally expires and disappears from your ledger if you don't spend it within 30 days.
Wow, to force economic velocity.
Exactly. Or they could geographically restrict those funds so they only work at cash registers within your home state.
Man. And the source specifically points out the carbon policy angle too, right?
Yes, that's a big one.
Because you could have money that is actively blocked from purchasing certain items like meat or maybe gasoline above a certain monthly quota just to enforce climate mandates.
It's entirely possible.
The World Economic Forum is already pushing heavily to assign financial value to natural commons like water and the air we breathe. I mean, they want to bring nature onto the global balance sheet, gating access to basic resources through the programmable rules in your digital wallet. It becomes a technical triviality at that point.
That's the key. The mechanism is what's important here. It's not a human bank teller telling you no. The software code simply refuses to execute the transaction. The money itself rejects the purchase.
Wait, hold on. I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
The current US dollar is the global reserve currency. It dominates world trade. if the current system works perfectly fine for the government, what is the real motivation to digitize and program it? Is this just some central planner's fetish for control, or is there a tangible economic math driving this?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the primary driver is actually a macroeconomic emergency.
Okay, I'm listening.
The source lays out the U.S. debt deficit, which is completely unsustainable right now. It's sitting at over 125% debt to GDP. Historically, the U.S. funded its empire by selling treasury bonds to foreign nations.
Right. Other countries buy our debt.
Usually, yeah. But global geopolitics are fracturing. Due to crises like the ongoing disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, shifting alliances, and just a general loss of trust in Western financial hegemony, foreign nations are buying significantly less U.S. debt.
So the traditional wholesale market for treasuries is shrinking.
Rapidly shrinking.
Okay, but how does an app on a teenager's phone in another country actually help the U.S. Treasury pay its debts? Walk me through that math.
It all comes down to collateral. Like, what actually is a stablecoin? When a company issues a digital dollar on a blockchain, they have to back it up one-to-one with real assets in the traditional banking system.
Okay.
And the safest, most liquid asset they use to back those digital dollars, U.S. Treasury bills.
Oh, I see.
So a stablecoin is essentially a U.S. Treasury bill wrapped in a shiny smartphone app. If you can get hundreds of millions of retail users globally to download a wallet and hold digital dollars, maybe to protect themselves from their own local inflation, you have successfully exported your sovereign debt to the global public.
Wow. So it's millions of microtransactions absorbing the macro debt.
Exactly. You're propping up the demand for treasuries without needing foreign central banks to buy them. I mean, Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, he hasn't been shy about this at all. He has explicitly stated the end goal is to tokenize all stocks and bonds on a unified, programmable ledger.
Every physical asset, every share of a company, given a digital identification on one interconnected system, that's a multi-hundred-trillion-dollar market. It's massive.
But here's the flaw in that programmable money idea. You can code a digital dollar to expire or to block the purchase of a steak at the grocery store. But software rules are completely useless if the system doesn't know exactly who is holding the wallet.
Bingo.
You cannot enforce complex behavioral rules on an anonymous user. So for the financial plumbing to actually control anything, they have to solve the identity problem.
And the central planners know this. The Bank for International Settlements, which functions as, like, the central bank of central banks, along with the United Nations, they have published extensive documentation stating that digital IDs and CBDCs are designed to be paired together.
They have to be.
Yeah, a programmable currency requires a verified digital identity to function as intended.
But how do you get billions of people to voluntarily sign up for a global centralized ID database? You can't just mandate it. I mean, people would revolt.
Right, it would be a disaster. You have to make it incredibly convenient, and you have to use it to solve a problem that is annoying everyone. Enter Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, and a project called World ID.
Yeah, World ID solves a massive emerging modern problem. With the explosion of artificial intelligence, deepfakes, automated bots, and AI voice cloning, how do you actually prove you are a real human being on the internet?
It's getting harder every day.
It really is. And Altman's solution involves a device called the Orb.
The Orb. I love how ominous that sounds.
It does sound like sci-fi, right? The silver sphere, roughly the size of a bowling ball. You walk up to it, look into the lens, and it scans the iris of your eye to extract a highly detailed biometric signature.
It's the ultimate biological CAPI-TCA test.
That's exactly what it is. The iris is more unique than a fingerprint and much harder to spoof. Once the orb scans you, it creates a cryptographic hash, which is just a unique string of numbers based on your eye and gives you a digital credential.
Okay, and then what?
You can then use that credential across the internet to prove, cryptographically, that you are a unique human.
And people are flocking to it. Over 18 million people have voluntarily scanned their eyes into this system already.
Yeah, the numbers are huge.
And it's already being integrated into apps we use every day. You want to know for sure that your Tinder date isn't an AI bot? They verify with World ID. Need to sign a binding contract on DocuSign or enter a secure Zoom meeting? World ID. The utility is undeniably brilliant.
It is brilliant, but the underlying risk is permanent. If someone steals your credit card, you call the bank and cancel it. Someone hacks your password, you reset it.
You can never get a new set of eyeballs.
Exactly. Your biometric signature is completely unique and immutable. You're handing the unchangeable key to your identity over to a private corporate entity.
Right.
Their privacy policy might be rock solid today, claiming they delete the actual images of your eyes and only store the hash. But what happens in 5 or 10 years? What happens if that database is subpoenaed by an authoritarian government, or acquired by a malicious actor, or simply hacked by a quantum computer?
Then your permanent biometric identity is out there, inextricably linked to your digital footprint, and by extension, your programmable wallet.
Exactly.
But even with the software of the money and the biological profile of the user, there is still a missing piece here. If you want to manage a physical population in the real world, a database isn't enough. You need to know where the person is standing. You need eyes and ears on the ground.
You need the physical surveillance infrastructure to monitor the physical world. Right now, there is an unprecedented arms race to build out AI data centers and energy infrastructure.
Yeah, it's everywhere in the news.
But the media often frames this as a race to make chatbots write faster emails or generate better images. The foundational goal, though, is spatial control.
Spatial control. Okay, the source material brings up a very specific push by the FCC to place cell towers every 400 to 700 feet. We're talking about massive density here.
Right, it's a huge shift.
Let's explain how this actually changes the game, because it's not just about getting fewer dropped calls, is it? Standard GPS requires a line of sight to a satellite in space, so it struggles when you walk inside a concrete building.
Yeah, it loses the signal.
But terrestrial cell triangulation at that level of density, it pings your device's radio frequencies off multiple nodes simultaneously. It can pinpoint your exact location, indoors or outdoors, floor by floor, regardless of whether you have your phone's location services turned on or off.
The device itself acts as a permanent beacon. And if you attempt to go completely off the grid, commercial satellites in low Earth orbit are now beaming Wi-Fi directly to unmodified consumer smartphones on the ground.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the network is being designed so that it can always reach you and always locate you anywhere on the surface of the Earth.
And the hardware enforcement extends to the vehicles we drive, too. There is a kill switch mandate, which is legally required to be phased into all new U.S. cars where the vehicle's internal sensors actively monitor your driving behavior.
Now, the stated goal is safety, to prevent drunk or impaired driving.
Sure, which sounds great.
Right. But the mechanism requires the car's computer to constantly analyze your inputs. If the algorithm decides you are driving erratically, or if it receives a remote command from authorities, it can safely pull the car over and disable the engine.
Which means the car ceases to be your private property in that moment. It becomes an active enforcer of the network's rules.
Exactly.
Here's where it gets really interesting. How do you process this fire hose of information? I mean, you have trillions of financial transactions, from programmable money, biometric iris scans updating in real time, indoor cell phone triangulation mapping everyone's movements, and car dashboard data logging travel.
It's too much data.
It is a completely incomprehensible amount of noise. No human analyst could ever read that.
And this is where the crucial final piece of the hardware puzzle comes into play, a company called Palantir.
Okay, let's talk about Palantir.
Palantir is a massive data analytics firm originally built for and funded by intelligence agencies and the military. Their software's primary function is data fusion.
Walk me through what that actually looks like in real time. Like, how does data fusion impact a single individual?
Okay, imagine you walk into a grocery store. Palantir software doesn't just see a credit card swipe. It fuses disparate streams of data into a single narrative.
Okay.
It pulls the geolocation of your phone to confirm you are in the store. It references the World ID database to verify your biometrics when you approach the automated checkout. It scans your financial ledger to authorize the stablecoin transaction.
Wow.
And it simultaneously checks your programmable money smart contract to ensure you haven't exceeded your monthly carbon allowance by trying to purchase imported beef.
That is insane.
Palantir takes all those separate silos of data and turns them into a single, unified, easily interpreted risk profile.
And we have to talk about that name, Palantir. The source notes that the name comes directly from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, the lore behind it is fascinating.
The Palantiri were the ancient seeing stones that allowed the user to look across vast distances and see anything, anywhere. But in the lore of the story, the Dark Lord Sauron uses the stones not just to watch, but to manipulate the world, feeding people selective information to control their actions.
Right. It wasn't just passive viewing.
Exactly. So to name the ultimate real-world data fusion apparatus after an all-seeing fantasy relic used for absolute control, that is a remarkably bold, almost mocking symbolic choice.
It really reveals a very clear understanding of the power of the tool they have engineered. I mean, Palantir is the analytical engine that can build a comprehensive behavioral profile on anyone in real time by digesting the money, the identity, and the movement data.
So what does this all mean when we synthesize it? We have the programmable money, we have the permanent biometric identity, and we have the physical surveillance hardware feeding into AI analytics. When those three things fully converge, what is the actual output of this grid?
The output is an automated social credit system. And we don't have to theorize about what this looks like. You know, we have a heavily documented, proven model functioning in China right now.
Right.
It's a system where your basic access to society is dictated by a constantly fluctuating score based on your daily behavior. Do you pay your debts on time? Your score goes up. Do you jaywalk, post something critical of a local official online, or even physically associate with someone whose score has been flagged?
Your score goes down.
Exactly.
And the enforcement isn't some distant court date. The consequences are immediate and automated. The source highlights that in a single year in China, over 30 million flights and high-speed train trips were blocked by the system because the individual's social credit scores dropped below the acceptable threshold.
Financial analyst Catherine Austin Fitz points out the ultimate utility of this for central planners. In this fully integrated grid, they don't need to push unpopular legislation through a divided Congress.
Right, it skips the political gridlock entirely.
Exactly. They don't need traditional law enforcement officers to arrest you, and they don't need judges to convict you. If they want you to comply with a new mandate, they simply turn a dial on your digital profile.
The environment itself becomes the prison. Your programmable money just stops working at the toll booth because your electric car's GPS shows you drove past your allowable 15-minute city limits.
Yeah.
Or your World ID fails the biometric verification at the airport gate because Palantir's predictive algorithm flagged your recent internet search history as a pre-crime security risk.
This raises an important question, though. If this system is so obviously restrictive and the potential for abuse is so astronomically high, why would the global public ever willingly step into the grid? I mean, people fiercely value their autonomy.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But the transition isn't going to happen on a random Tuesday during a time of global peace and prosperity. The source argues that massive societal shifts are driven by manufactured, or at the very least, heavily leveraged, crises. People accept immense restrictions when they are terrified.
We witnessed the precise precedent for this during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, absolutely.
Within a matter of weeks, frightened, locked-down populations around the globe willingly downloaded contact tracing apps, accepted digital health certificates, and implemented vaccine passports just to enter restaurants.
Things that would normally take years of debate.
Exactly. That is a level of tracking infrastructure that would have taken decades of bitter legal battles to pass through normal legislative channels. But in an acute emergency, it was adopted practically overnight.
And look at the macro pressures mounting right now. We have massive supply chain disruptions stemming from the Strait of Hormuz closure. Global food and gas prices are climbing. Consumer confidence is plummeting.
It's a perfect storm.
People are financially stressed, and trust in traditional institutions is at an all-time low.
Which brings us back to the central bank's impossible choice regarding the debt deficit. They are trapped in a mathematical corner right now.
Explain that corner.
Well, if they raise interest rates to defend the purchasing power of the dollar, the bond market collapses and the government defaults.
Right, which is catastrophic.
But if they cut rates to save the bond market, they deeply devalue the dollar and push inflation into hyperdrive.
And the analysis suggests they will inevitably choose to save the bond market and sacrifice the dollar, which means the price of groceries, rent, and energy goes through the roof. The middle class gets wiped out, and people become profoundly, fundamentally desperate.
And when people can't feed their families, they demand a bailout. They beg for a solution.
And the solution that will be sitting on the shelf, ready to deploy, is the fully digitized, centrally managed financial system. You will get your universal basic income relief funds, but they will arrive exclusively as programmable stablecoins tied securely to your biometric World ID.
The crisis accelerates the adoption of the grid. It's a shift from a society of assumed participation to conditional participation. And while these individual technologies, the zero fraud protection of stablecoins, the bot-free convenience of World ID, the predictive safety analytics of Palantir, they offer incredible, undeniable modern conveniences.
They really do.
But their simultaneous convergence creates an architecture for centralized control that no historical empire could have ever dreamed of.
It's a lot to process. But when you look at this whole grid objectively stripping away the utopian marketing from Silicon Valley and the dystopian panic from the internet, what you're left with is just a profound engineering reality. The industrial age is over, the intelligent age is here, and deeply harvested data is the new foundation of reality.
And as we've seen, the infrastructure is entirely real, the corporate investments are in the billions, and the legal frameworks are quietly being written into law.
Which leaves us with a final, lingering question to ponder as we wrap up this deep dive. As this intelligent age progresses, proof of human is becoming the ultimate currency. If our biological data, our financial lives, and our physical movements must become entirely merged just to participate in everyday society. Wait, no, let me rephrase that.
Go ahead.
If they must become merged just to participate, will choosing not to participate eventually be viewed as a threat? Think about it. If you politely refuse an eye scan, or insist on holding physical cash, or purposefully leave your phone at home when you go for a walk, will that be respected as a personal privacy choice? Or how long until wanting to simply be offline makes you an anomaly in the system, an inherently suspicious act?
Yeah, when the system demands total transparency to ensure safety, privacy itself becomes the ultimate red flag.
Think about that the next time you get that prompt to update your operating system, because society's new terms and conditions are being written into the code right now, and eventually there might not be a button to click, remind me later.